Lesson 5.1, One-Step Equations. In this lesson, we're going to begin solving equations. This is a review lesson. We're going to start with a little bit of the process of it. We're going to solve using inverse operations. Inverse means opposites. So adding and subtracting are opposites. We could even just look at the signs of terms, and a positive and a negative sign are opposites. If you have a variable times a number, you can undo by dividing. If you have a variable divided by a number, you can undo by multiplying. Reciprocal fractions are opposites. That's where a fraction is flipped upside down from the other. So for example, 2/5 and 5/2 are reciprocals. So if I have 2/5 times x, I can get rid of it by multiplying by 5/2 because we're multiplying by the reciprocal, which will cancel it out. The goal in solving any equation is to get the variable by itself. Example 1, we're going to solve and check your answers. Part A, we have -6 plus x equal -7. Now, if I'm trying to get x by itself, I usually start by boxing in the term that includes x. So I just have the term positive x. I want it by itself on the left side, so I need to get rid of this -6. So to undo a -6, I simply add 6 to both sides. I can do that because when I say -6 plus 6, they're opposites and they add up to 0. And so I end up with positive x equal -1, and I've solved. Now I want to check my answer. So I'm going to write my equation, but when I get to x, I'll leave it open and plug in the answer that I got, which was -1. And I just want to see if this is true. A -6 plus -1 will be -7. And so we got -7 is equal to -7, so that's true. We've checked our answer and it was correct. B part, q divided by -5 equals 6. So we are going to undo dividing by multiplying by -5. What we do to one side of an equation, we have to do to the other side of the equation. So I'm going to multiply both sides of the equation by -5. On the left side, when I divided -5 and then multiplied by -5, they canceled out. And I just have q on the left. On the right side, positive 6 times -5 is a -30. To check my answer, I just write the original equation, and I want to see if this is true. So I plug in -30 for q, and -30 divided by -5 is a positive 6. So this is true, so we got the correct answer. For example 2, we're going to continue solving equations. These will include some decimals and fractions, and we're not going to check our answers on our notes here, but you use the same process to check your answers, and I would advise doing that on all equation problems. So part A, we have 9 equal 3.6 times d. So we can undo multiplying 3.6 by d by dividing both sides by 3.6. 3.6d divided by 3.6 just leaves d on the right side. 9 divided by 3.6 is 2.5. And we're finished with that problem. B part, 2/3 plus m equal -5/9. Our goal is to get m by itself. So we want to get rid of this 2/3, which is a positive 2/3, by subtracting 2/3 from both sides of this equation. On the left side, they cancel, and we just have m. And on the right side, we might have to do a little bit of scratch work to determine what negative 5/9 minus 2/3 is. So negative 5/9 minus 2/3, we need a common denominator, and so we think about the fact that 3 will go into 9, so we can use 9 as the denominator. So we have negative 5/9 minus 3 times 3 is 9. So to get an equivalent fraction, 2 times 3 is 6. And then we have two numbers that are both negative. So we actually add and keep our negative sign. So 5 plus 6 is 11, and we keep that negative sign. So we end up with m equals negative 11/9. And we could have rewritten that as m equal negative 1 2/9. Either answer is acceptable. C part, 3/8 x equal 1/4. Well, we have a fraction that's multiplied by x. We could divide both sides by 3/8, or it's simpler when you're dealing with a fraction that's multiplied to just multiply by the reciprocal of 3/8. So the reciprocal is 8/3 because we just flipped the fraction. So we multiply both sides by 8/3. What will happen is on this left side, we could multiply and we get 24/24, which is 1. Or we could cross cancel. The 3's cross cancel to 1's. The 8's cross cancel to 1's. And in either case, we get 1x on the left side. On the right side, we get 8/12, or we could reduce to start with and say, well, 4 and 8 will both divide by 4. So I get 1 and 2. And so x equal 2/3. D part, we have 4 times y equal 8/9. I could divide both sides by 4, but then I'm dealing with dividing with a fraction. So I'm just going to multiply by the reciprocal of 4. Now I could rewrite 4 as 4/1. It's the same thing. And so the reciprocal of 4, or 4/1, is the flipped fraction 1/4. So on the left side, those cross cancel, and we get y. On the right side, 8 and 4 both divide by 4 to get 1 and 2. So we end up with 2/9. This is our last equation, just a quick review. We have 2/3 times y. We want to undo that multiplying 2/3, but since we're dealing with a fraction, the easiest way is to multiply both sides by the flipped fraction, the reciprocal, which is 3/2. And we're getting rid of 2/3 because that's what is multiplied by y. So we're multiplying both sides by 3/2. On the left side, it cross cancels, and we just get y. On the right side, 4 and 2 both divide by 2 to get 2 and 1. And when we multiply, 2 times 3 is 6, over 5 times 1 is 5. So we get that y is equal to 6/5. Or you could write it as y equal 1 1/5. And you might have even used y equal 1.2. And we're finished.